This morning, I would like to revisit the use of Delta 8 THC, the legal extract from industrial hemp. Okay, it comes from the same sort of processing we get that CBD from. Okay, the Delta 8 THC. I'd like to revisit the fact that I have been using it as a blood pressure regulator. And I have found the results actually to be amazing because there has never been a pill from a pharmacy of any type that I've ever tried. And I mean, been quite a few, you know. They push them at you and people say, oh, you better take this stuff or you'll have a stroke and so on. There's never been one that actually really did the job. The majority of them gave me terrible side effects. I wasn't willing to tolerate the side effects on a lot of those drugs. But otherwise, the ones that didn't seem to have horrible side effects really didn't work very well on me. Apparently, according to one of my more recent doctors, he says, your problem is that you just your veins, your arteries, the circulatory system, it does not expand and contract well. That's what's going on here, because I get tremendous spikes, just boom, 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 and it's because they just won't move out. Perhaps I was born that way. They measure it at 17. Anyway, that's a long story short. It was accidental that I discovered that Delta 8 THC was a good blood pressure regulator. I had realized that the stuff was A, real cheap, and two, could induce good sleep. And as people get older, I think all you senior citizens out there, you don't sleep like you used to, Some of us barely sleep an hour or two at a time without waking when you start getting over 60. But I don't sleep like I used to. I still sleep pretty good. But no, it's not what it once was. And so I started trying the stuff, and it did work. So originally I discovered by using the Delta 8 as a sleep aid that it was good to regulate my blood pressure when I ran out of regular blood pressure medication, and my blood pressure actually went down rather than up. So that's where I became aware. But also a problem with using it as a sleep aid is that the tolerance builds up. After a while, you build up pretty good tolerance to the stuff. So if you're using it for sleeping, you're probably going to have to stop periodically. It takes about a week to bring the tolerance down and then start over again because the body gets used to it. But as a blood pressure regulator, I'm beginning to suspect that even micro-dosing may work. I have not experimented with trying to use tiny doses of the stuff to continue with blood pressure regulation. But recently, because the tolerance with sleep was rising, I decided to quit. So I took a week off, and when I went back, I had reduced the dose to 1/3 of what I'd been using. In the meantime, I monitored my blood pressure, and I could see it gradually climbing. It went from like 120 over 72. A few days later, we were at like 135, over 80. And eventually it got as high as 145, I think over 85, before I went back and started to take the Delta 8 again. First dose, first morning after, I checked the pressure, back down to 121 over 72. Yesterday when I checked it, it was 116 over 70, which for me, that's unheard of. The pressure does not ever go that low without drugs, and normal blood pressure in me is more like 150 over 85. Okay. Well, there you go, folks. I'd say it's pretty conclusive. It goes up when I stopped taking it and down when I started taking it. It's been a roller coaster a bit in experimentation, but this stuff is good for blood pressure regulation. It doesn't have as many side effects, and I do believe that it's possible to get the effective blood pressure regulation without getting the other effects like drowsiness, you know. Hey, hang loose. Aloha.